Hey, Father.
Would you like some water or coffee?
Coffee will be good.
Yeah, let me, we have a little machine over here.
Oh, nice.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Kitchen is to the right.
Oh, yeah, I recall. The center is pretty new. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I can give you a little brief tour, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finished it in February.
Oh, this year?
Yeah, that we had it dedicate or blessed.
Okay.
Early February.
Okay.
And went into service like right away.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
What do you guys use it for? I don't remember.
Oh, all the parish events.
Okay.
Group gathering, and then the conference rooms.
Are there conference rooms?
Yeah, there's a conference room, several like offices in there.
Okay, nice.
So we have small meetings in there too. And weddings, we had several weddings.
Oh, wow, the receptions?
Several, yeah, the receptions for those.
So wasn't there a smaller building there?
There was a 50-year-old.
Okay, yeah, so it's not an addition, because I was looking for that, and I'm like, no, I think they cleared it, right? Okay.
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
we looked into that to see if it can be remodeled,
Restored,
but
yeah.
it wasn't worth it. Yeah, and it wasn't, a lot of it wasn't up to code, because it was built 50 years ago.
Yeah, I can
So,
imagine different,
Yeah, it has asbestos in it.
I see.
It had, the roof started leaking, and it's just way too small.
Gotcha.
There's no real way to expand it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. It looks better. No, I saw it, I'm like, wow, that was my first reaction. I'm like, that wasn't here when I last came here.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you can choose, that was fine.
Yeah, you can choose your size up here.
Yeah, it was a nice delight to see that, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little,
Yeah, so we'll have, this year we'll have Vacation Bible School in there.
I was about to say that's where, we had it last time at the older building there. That was.
Yeah, but this is a whole lot nicer.
Yeah, definitely it has a different tone to it.
Yeah.
I was looking at older videos, and yeah, I took a video of the boys. Isaac made friends, and they were taking a water bottle half full, and they're all around before they're getting all structured and getting to the next step. They want to have a fun game, so they were trying to flip it where it
Without
would
spilling
flip.
water?
No, flip it and it will land like that
Ah.
instead of falling. And each of them were trying to flip it, and they're like, oh. And Isaac did it, and the other gentleman
Hola,
did it.
Graciela. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien. Sugar and...
Do you have honey? If you don't have honey, black is
I
perfect.
don't know, that's a good question.
Black is perfectly fine. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm going to
After
see
you.
if,
And not vinegar.
No. Maybe,
Nah.
syrup? No?
Quite the opposite. But thank you for the effort. No, I'm
Okay.
good, Father. Appreciate it.
For some reason, we don't seem to have honey in here. Maybe I can get us a bottle.
Oh, no, you're fine. Right, yeah, I'll be on the next budget plan. Yeah.
The rest of these here.
Yeah, I remember.
Let me sit over here. It's probably easier for you to-
Good. Yeah. Fun day, huh? Yeah. Did this office change? I feel like you changed the decorum since the last time you came.
I modified over time. At first there was a lot of furnitures in here, big furnitures.
Okay.
Like executive type of desk. And,
Okay. I think that's, yeah. I think
yeah,
I
and
recall
then
that.
it doesn't fit me. It's not my style. So
Too big as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I do
it's-
remember it being more
it's like
covered there.
it takes up the most of the room right here in the
Yeah.
middle. So I got rid of that. We sold the desk. We used some of the bookcases.
Uh-huh.
And then later, Krista got me this much smaller desk. You know, I hardly sit at the desk. You know, I only sit at the computer every so often.
This is your area?
This is my
Hence you requested me to sit here. Gotcha, yeah.
yeah.
I was wondering, what have you heard from Nancy from her response of the annulment?
I haven't spoken with her about that.
Oh, you haven't?
And last time when I visited,
Yeah.
she didn't say anything about Norma. She just, you know, she was contemplating divorce, but and she even said, you know, but we're still married in church. That's how she looked at it.
Yeah. She filed for divorce on May 20th. I
Okay.
received the papers May 28th. And June 5th, so about a week later.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to listen to that last video I sent to you?
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. I feel like this is a fun mission. My boys would say it's a fun mission. So this was my mission to bring back our family. And I am conscious, I am competent
Mm-hmm.
that the result of me possibly going close to her would result in me being incarcerated. I understood that. I took that chance.
Let me ask you something. When she filed for divorce, when they served you the paper, did it say that you will have to work out the terms and all of that?
Yeah, and I apologize. I should have brought it so you can review it. I didn't.
Okay. Well, we can do
next
that
time,
later.
yeah.
But,
But I did review it thoroughly. I did a little video for my boys. So there are bullet points. So there's the actual decree, or it's basically a suit. So they're suing me. That's really what a divorce is.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
suing the other person.
Sure. Yeah.
And then there was another document of the June 14th court hearing, because it takes they say there's a 90-day period in the state of Texas that you have to, you cannot do anything in between that time until the court date comes.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a court hearing to determine what everything is doing between that time, the next court date. And on those bullet points, there's about 8.
Okay.
3 of those 8 bullet points, it talked about how I cannot be close to them, I cannot have any access to them, and they would want a temporary protection order in addition to what's been placed on a condition of bond for, quote, extra layer of protection from myself to them. There was an affidavit. Part of that explained the night in question when that happened, of the plate incident. And then also up until the 3rd time, not the 3rd time because it didn't happen yet, but including the 2nd time I got taken to jail again. It was part of all the affidavit. And so yes, and then the rest of the 8 bullet points was, can't have this vehicle. She said she will have property of this vehicle that I use. And the other one was psych evaluation. And then the other one was paying a child support and insurance, health insurance. And I believe that's their annulment in my eyes. So, I don't know if you knew this about me, Father, but I'm a very all or nothing type individual. It brought me to this point in my life, and I would like to say it was a successful life. And I'm not changing. That's who I am. Whether blessings, whether failures, whatever it is, but people at least know my stance when I go. And then, ironically, I learned that when I met Nancy. Our priest told us this in the Spanish version. He said, frío caliente, nunca tibio, meaning cold or hot, never in the middle, never warm. You have to, and I learned, I could talk to you forever, how that moved my faith, where I've seen so many, what's the term called, religious hypocrites. You encounter many of them as you grow more into your faith, and you had to take that stance, all or nothing. And so this was before this whole incident, but ultimately I have no say, Father. I have no say legally, I have no say physically, emotionally. I have no power right now, no decision making. Everything is decided on of our family from her. So I would never want to mess with the design of the Holy Family. The way God has the families designed, you should never mess with it. It has to be all or nothing. This world we live in, they say otherwise. What's in the best interest of the children? That's in fact stated in the divorce decree, the documents. And I would argue that's wholeheartedly false. It's what's in the best interest of the family. But it's very easy to take away the parents, and I believe that's what breaks many families up. This second life, this second dad, this second marriage, this, hey, you can have a new sister, is disgusting, is perverted. It's not the design the way God wants it. I've seen many cases where it is more worse. And in fact, I would argue that's the least interested of the children, because they're the ones that get hurt more.
Yeah.
So I refuse to participate in that. And it hurts me. The best way I've been describing it is like 1,000 knives hitting me in my heart, that I'm still alive. So if we can never get together, which based on her decisions, I have to accept reality, but I will not participate. I will pay for child support and insurance, so I won't go to jail. But I will not be in their lives. I will find another woman, and I'll have a marriage with her, and I will have children with them, because I know I'm a good father. I know I'm a good husband. But I cannot be part of that family anymore. And I hate it because I have no choice in it. So that's my life now. And that is why when I wrote that to all her siblings, that quick text message I wrote to you, I wrote it to everyone. They never responded. No one responded. That very quickly, si quieres la relación de la iglesia. But when I wrote that, I know the answer. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
And I will start the annulment process myself. Because the damage is already done. And the ironic thing, Father, is, and I'll say this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This is a strategy to bring our family together, because I believe that the Adam and Eve comes to mind, where what do they do when they realize they did sin? They hide, they put clothes on, they put leaves to cover their bodies, and they hid from God. And I know we're all human, so we're all full of sin. We're sinful. By taking the annulment step is putting us in front, is God calling Adam and Eve. And we have to answer to him. And I believe that she will try to delay this, the annulment process, because in her mind she thinks it's two different things. But when you break up a family, it damages it. And I'm sorry, Father, you could take this as you like, but after 7 months without my family, after learning so much about real criminals, real bad fathers that do real harm to their children, I'm not those people. She has no idea what a real evil man is. How life just hit me too much. But I was always happy. And I don't regret anything I did, because all those things I did never had the intention of truly killing or hurting evilly my children or my wife. But I was confused, or I got confused as that person. There's nothing I can do. Only God knows my intention that day, and he knows my intentions now. But that is my stance.
You know, from the terms that you described, it feels very unjust to me. And the separation, spouses, you know, is not ideal. But certainly cutting you off completely from visiting the children, I'm not sure what the motivation was, okay, for her to even do that. Even, you know, supervised visitation should be allowed, because the children, they need you also, you know, not just you needing them, wanting to see them, but the children need to have the dad in their lives. So I don't know if you want me to do this, but I would like to have a conversation. Of course, you know, this is the first that I heard that she will definitely go through with a divorce. Okay, she talked about it, and I mentioned I'm not sure what that achieves. Okay, at the time, so it was not clear the day that I visited. Okay, so if you want to, I could come visit and talk about it. I don't know whether it will make any difference or not, but certainly the consideration that you as a person who has gone through the experience you described to me, trying to, with the thought of killing yourself, and now God saved your life, allow you to live so that you can have a future, you can do something, okay? Though it's, you will have to go through pain and suffering, but it's not without meaning or purpose. Okay, so given the fact that some damage has been done and difficulties, and the marriage may not be able to be repaired, perhaps, but things like you being in the lives of your sons, that should be a part of any future arrangements.
No.
How do you mean?
That's not the Holy Family.
No, it's not in that way.
And nor do I want to change it. We are not God. We cannot justify. Apologize for cutting you off. But we cannot justify it. We cannot make our own rules. We cannot make our own lifestyle and justify it. I've seen too many ways, too many situations. You can say the same thing with your situation. We all justify things. Hey, this is my new life now. Hey, I got a girlfriend. You're going to have your second sister.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
That's not what I was talking about. What I was talking about is an arrangement where you can see your sons.
No.
Well,
that's not. Again, it has nothing to do with loving my sons, caring for my sons. That is apparent. That is given. Our kids, prestados, they are loaned to us from God. They're not ours.
That's quite true.
And if we change the order that God wanted us to be there under the same roof, and that's why I say that word specifically earlier, is perverted. And when I say perverted, you can just Google a couple places and a couple cases. And it's very simple. Nancy and I discussed this in detail. But I passed the disillusion part already. After many days of crying. The disillusion has been established. But we discussed this.
Okay.
Where no matter what, doesn't matter if you're a stepdad and you're loving your stepkids, doesn't matter if you are the stepsister, stepbrother, second family, this whole orchestrated that we create and we justify and say this is good because I'm in love. That second marriage, I learned so much from my first marriage. All this fallible thoughts, it leads into perversion because one thing is missing. You are not the father or the mother of that child. And if you cannot be under the same roof, it's over, as if I'm not there. Doesn't matter if we try to fix it. Oh, I'm in their lives. I can be there. I can have a weekend dad. All these terms. And I can have my weekends to myself. You name it, because there's so many terms in the court where you can discuss terms on custodies.
Yeah, those are contrived solutions, okay, to a...
Contrived, explain that. I don't know that.
Contrived, it's like manufactured.
I'm going to use that word.
Yeah.
It's manufactured.
Yeah, contrived.
Yes.
That's what it means. It's try to make the best or to have some kind of arrangement.
You said earlier we have to suffer or life just has it, and we have to embrace it. Your watch is off there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Is that the new style now?
That's the
Okay.
new style.
Yeah. It's a nice one. We cannot manufacture that. And and again, there's so many attempts to do it, Father, but we have to draw a line to say that is wrong. And
divorce is not definitely not in the plans of God.
No,
Okay,
but we choose it. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the way we have to suffer. And when I say suffer, I don't mean planning suffer, because again, I'm in this category where there's so many fatal situations that happen where they would attack, you name it, Father, and it just stinks because I'm in that category. I would be the retaliator. I would be, and just laughable. But when I say suffer, I mean spiritually suffer. Until we come back together, we will suffer. Our sons will suffer. And what I mean by that is not having a father type suffering. Because it doesn't matter if we contrived it or not. It's the same result. I'm not there. I don't care if you say part-time, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'll have my wife, she has her husband, has a boyfriend, I have my girlfriend, have girls on the side, she has guys on the side, whatever it may be. That's perverted. And they will suffer from that. So what I will want, again, I'm in the business of forgiving. I always laugh in my head every time I cry so hard. I laugh. I'm like, if she says come, I'll be right over. That's the ironic thing, Father. The night before, we were intimate. We were hugging, kissing. The day before, and it's recorded, I did fun little videos with the boys. Like, this would make sense if I come home drunk. If I come home, then leave right away with the guys. It would make sense that I might have another girl. It might make sense that she's not happy. Again, but I exhausted those thoughts from my head from saying, I don't understand. But I do understand that I'm a loving husband and a loving father. And to my definition, correct me if I'm wrong, but an annulment, a successful, complete annulment, means that the marriage in the church's eyes is considered invalid, which means it never existed.
Right.
Because
that's what
the church never separates. It's either valid or invalid. So it doesn't mean, oh, you had a pass. In the state size, no, we have a pass. That's why we have to work with things. But, and again, this is my eyes going even deeper. Well, what does that mean? That never happened. And again, this is even deeper thought. Then our children never happened. And that is why I respectfully interrupted you earlier when I just said no. When you said there might be something that we can be in their lives. They don't exist.
No, that's not quite correct. Okay. The annulment doesn't say anything about, certainly not a negation that a relationship actually existed. Okay. That there was a relationship of love, of affection that existed. Children do come from that relationship, did come from that relationship, and they're loved, they are accepted. So the fact that if an annulment is granted, it has no bearing, it says nothing about the existence of that relationship or of children. Okay, it says nothing about those things. The only thing that it says is the marriage bond, okay, was not valid because of some reasons, okay? And some of those reasons would be, one is, for example, okay, the lack of understanding or freedom to make the choice to marry, okay? For example, one example that I ran into was the two-person got married so that one of them will be able to become a citizen of this country, okay? And the thought is, well, if it works out, then sure, we stay together. But at the time when they made the decision, they had second thought about it. They said, I'm not sure that this will work out, but because we have already gone so far in having these immigration papers already submitted, if we don't marry, then that won't be able to go forward. And we already spent a lot of money doing that. So that would be a ground to say, because of that, that would not be a valid reason to get married. It's like simulation, okay?
What if a spouse shows signs of manipulation, cruelty to a spouse, cruelty to the children, violent?
Okay, so that's the case where you have to look prior to the marriage, okay? Whether those things had some kind of patterns.
And they did.
Okay, so if it were a pattern and it was noted, but it was ignored or simply
It was ignored, you're correct.
brushed aside, and you can corroborate that, okay, like maybe someone
Witnesses.
okay, then the tribunal will consider that as a possibility, as a possible ground, okay? So anyway, so that's kind of the general process, okay?
Well, I think based on that, we will be very high candidates for that. And I clearly understand what you said about the children part, but that's why we are sinners. We all
Yeah,
have a
it
cross.
it has no implication as to, the children are,
And that is where I respectfully disagree. But I don't think I'm the first Catholic that disagrees with the Catholic teaching. And we all have to bear our cross. This is mine. So
you disagree in terms, what
I'm not going to see them ever again. That is why I took this very seriously. That is why I went to jail 3 times. That is why I've been crying for 7 months every day between the hours of 10 p.m. till sleep time and in the mornings from these crazy dreams waking me up. But what I learned is no one's going to hear you. What are you going to do next, Nico? Stop being a victim. That's what I hear. Not voices in my head, just thoughts subconsciously.
Okay.
I refuse. And again, I'm competent enough to understand that I refuse that lifestyle. And you have to go frío caliente. I want to be with my family all together. That's the number one.
Okay.
But I will never force Nancy. I've never forced her. But documentation-wise, I'm just what I described to you, those bullet points of what a husband would be. And I have to live with that. I believe it's false. Very simple. So that is why I'm going to act accordingly. And
But isn't that a little bit contradictory? Because yes, that is correct, that that's what they are driving toward, right? Not letting you see your sons. But what is your desire regarding be able to visit your sons to begin with?
Yeah. Absolutely contradictory. I totally agree. It's
It's not that they don't exist. I mean,
Yeah.
they exist. They long
exist,
to
yes.
see you.
yes,
Maybe you can't live with them because of the legal situation. But that's not to say that by being in their lives, when they become adults, you can certainly have the rest of your life and their life to be with them as adults. Okay.
no, because by that time, again, Father, I'm thinking as if I'm single again. I haven't thought that in 11 years. And I remember when I was, even before I met Nancy, I used to joke when I would come home alone. Never lived alone in my life. And for the first time, I lived alone and single. And I would joke about coming home and say, "Hi, honey, I'm home," and no one's there. And I'm like, one of these days I'm going to find someone. I don't know who, but let me practice. So I used to say that. Like, "Honey, I'm home." And I stopped saying it because I met Nancy. And that came in my head again. I had to go again. So what I believe is that once you take away, and again, it can be the church decision or not, but at least they're halfway to my thinking, which is it never existed, it was just invalid. And I believe that if that would have been in God's plan, we would have never had the kids. Simple. If it was invalid from the beginning, anything in between or in the future is also invalid. Again, you stated that that's not the church's teaching. I accept it, but I disagree with it. And
I don't know what that disagreement has to do with anything. People, when they have sexual intimacy together, whether they are married or not,
Yeah.
can and do have children.
Correct.
And those children do exist. They, hopefully, they're loved.
They're not. Majority of them are not. So not
Okay.
all. I don't like speaking
Yeah.
in
No,
absolutes.
but the fact of the matter is, there are many broken marriages, and the parents, they have a measure of love for their children, even though they may not have acted appropriately, consistently with that love. Okay, if they did, they would have stayed together or seek a way to stay together.
Man, you brought up a good point. Good
Yeah.
size.
So my point here is, it's not that they don't want to love their children, but it's mixed. Okay, it's mixed in with their own trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so they somehow let the relationship go by the wayside, so that it gets broken. But that doesn't mean that they intentionally don't love their children. It's that they did not choose properly. They did not choose to live properly. Both of them. Okay, sometimes one more than the other.
You just described my intention. And let me explain why. The last couple sentences hit home. It's not our intention. We make our decisions. But you know that we still love them. That's my approach of not seeing them again. Because I believe that God will put in them that, based on all my evidence, based on all my videos, that will tell. But it takes time. We all know that God laughs at time. 1,000 years is a second to God. So I don't have no sadness. I don't have no, it is something where they know I'm loved and they know I had no decision. That's the way life is.
That's one thing, again.
But I don't, sorry to interrupt, but I don't, no, Father. It does have everything to do with it. It's not what I wanted.
Of course not.
And when you say contradictory, that's the goal. I want her to understand the contradictory of it. How what's in the best interest of the children by taking the step will ultimately be the opposite of the interest. Just simple. And that's what I mean by suffering. We will all suffer. And again, I have to state this, not me inflicting pain on them. I'm talking about internal suffering, understanding it. And I believe that we are cowards, that we don't take the step. We take, you know what? Let me act like I'm a good father, but you know what? Let me, quote unquote, to be real with you, let me bang this girl at a bar that I met. Because that's what's common. A lot of affairs happen at those places. And the majority of them actually happen at the workforce or workplace, but that's a whole different story. Or even that, let's put that in. You know, there's a coworker I worked with. I like her. Oh, you know, I'm having trouble. She's having trouble. Man, I don't know. It's the way God wanted it. I married her and everything. But now we have 2 kids, and I see Isaac and Benny. They will learn that they're not number one for them anymore. So I'm actually doing a better sense of completely getting out of their lives so they can go on with their lives. Is it the best? Absolutely not. Is it, what was that word, manufactured, the other word you said? Contrived? Absolutely is contrived. But the beauty of that is I had no participation in it. And again, we all have to answer to God. And I feel confident of answering to God because He knows my intentions. He knows what I've tried. You listened on that YouTube video last I sent, what I've tried. And again, there's no blaming this whole, and I can talk to you forever on that, Father, where there's no good answer. And again, even in the Catholic Church, that's a very small crisis we're having too, about second marriages, about getting back in marriages in the church.
It's very troubling.
Very troubling. And I'm sorry, but I do not, I reject that wholeheartedly. And I'm sorry, but this is the full step I have to take instead of saying, oh, I won't be a wannabe Catholic. No, you have to go on. I wish I can be that warm guy. You know how many warm Catholics there are in this world? Many of them. I wish I can be that. I wish I could open my eyes. Was that?
Probably the majority. Maybe.
And I wish I was one of them. I wish I didn't have this knowledge. I wish I didn't had my wife that made me get closer to God. But she said, I don't want to have sex before I get married. And I said, well, that's weird. You're 30 years old. Who doesn't have sex? And I learned more about my faith. I gave up my brother when I didn't know that he was going to die 10 years later. I gave up the relationship with my brother. I gave up the relationship with my siblings, all because I fought for what we had, which is a holy family. And I took every step to bring that beautifulness, that pureness to the marriage. And it's stained now. It's mancho. It cannot be unstained. It's red wine on a white linen. You can't take it out. And I'll say this. I threw a plate. I didn't throw a plate. I slid a plate. But Nancy broke our family. And I'll never say it anyone else but to God and to you. Because that's something I don't like to talk about. Because that's the first part of that fight between sides. And that's what I meant about when you want me to kind of discuss more why I say no clearly and understandably, is that there is so much evil that's going to come when you try to change God's plan, and it starts with gossip. It starts with your loved ones saying these little whispers. And guess who all hears them? The children. I'm eliminating that. It takes 2 people to fight. Oh. I learned that from my father when he was very emotionally abusive to me. I learned that when he was ready for me to respond. And one day I didn't respond. And I'm like, wow, he shut up, and now there's no fighting. It takes 2. So I'm not going into this world of seeing your kids having rights. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do see the perspective actually, and I understand it.
Hurts.
Okay, it hurts.
And it's not good. It's never good. Like,
No,
I disagree with all of it, God.
Mhm.
God. Father, it's all, I love what you said, contradictory. It's all contradictory.
Yeah, it
No
is.
matter what, we're screwed. No matter what, we'll suffer.
Yeah.
And it,
The system of the world is certainly works against any kind of unity. So, and they just try to, in some ways, to be at the same time be fair and to be protective, but
you can't.
no, you really can't. It just doesn't work very well. So.
So I want you to know that, Father, because, yeah, on paper, I don't like to cuss in front of you, but I'm a jerk. If you could imagine a worse word than jerk.
Yeah, it's,
I'm a jerk.
the-
You're
the
leaving your
legal
son.
system.
You're leaving your sons. I'm getting that already from my mother-in-law. I know. And that's what's funny about it. Like, maybe that's the cross I have to bear. You know? Like, I don't know about this world, but all I know is my intentions. And only God knows it. And respectfully speaking, not even you. Only God knows it. And, well, man, it stings. It stings. But maybe God will look down at me when He does call me and say, you did what you can. I have a funny imagination that,
There's some tissue there if you need.
thank you, I've adapted of not having tissues. Thank you. A funny imagination where, yeah, well, they do turn 18 because that's the law. I have everything to show them because the first thing they're gonna say to me, what a jerk. You left me, Dad, all this stuff. But I'm gonna guide them to YouTube. Show them all the stuff that happened many years ago. I say it takes about a week to watch all of them, maybe 2 weeks. Watch that and come back, and yeah, it's that will be my fun time. And again, but it's unfortunate because I will have my own family by then. Again, and I'm saying this with respect, Father, but my mother-in-law said 4 times in an hour that week, because I went over the next day.
Does she know the terms of the
Yeah.
divorce?
Yeah, I told her
What
about
did she
it.
say about that?
So, in a nutshell, and I'll tell you more, but in a nutshell, she said 4 times of me when I went over there in Whitney to talk to her. 4 times throughout that hour of talking to her, she mentioned, I know, right? See, that's how I was too. Find another woman. And I even told her, I'm like, that's the 3rd time you're saying it. And then she brought it up again when I was about to leave. And I laugh. I'm like, man, you're a wonderful mother-in-law. Like, man, you're the best mother. They say mother-in-laws are bad. You tell me you meet another woman. And so again, my creative mind is she seeing something that shows that Nancy's moved on? That's my interpretation. Again,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
and and I learned again through YouTube unorthodox anger management course, because it's not on documents. It shows that I refused therapy, and yet I go to YouTube and I learn so much. And part of it says it's an alarm. Dr. Snipes has 2,000 followers, but she's accredited, but she's not in the state world of saying you have to follow these people. I learned from her that alarms, all those thoughts cause, and you boil them up, becomes a recipe for anger. So you have to sound the alarm where think of like a school. She uses this as an example. A school, an alarm pops up. Most of the times, nothing happens. It's just an alarm. They're practicing it, or someone was messing around. Rarely it actually happens, a fire alarm, but it does happen. So that's why the alarm pops up. I used that right away with that woman thought, because man, my mind was going crazy. I was like, that tells me she probably sees someone. And as a prideful man, which I turn over now, because you pass that, pride will kill you. And I don't mean physically, I mean will kill the soul.
Yeah.
And the pride. My wife sleeping with another man, all these things, and I passed that because that's what got to me of angerness. And but when my mother-in-law said it, those thoughts came up again, and then I got better. I'm like, no, that's how it is, But so just to tell you a little more about what she said. I manipulated her. And this was hard. How can you tell? How can you face the devil and say you're a bad devil? It doesn't hurt him at all. How can I tell my mother-in-law that based on what Nancy's told me, you're the one who manipulates her? And I have to sit down and hear her say that I've manipulated her. And the only ones that know that are our boys. But we discount children a lot. We praise them in the courts, but we discount them when they're home alone with us. Not our family. Our family. And in fact, that was the reason why I got angry, because I used that phone. When 8 years of our lives, I never had that phone. But she wanted me to do something. And that just bored me out, because I saw William so used to me having his attention. He just came right by me, sat down, I felt his side. That night, that day of question. I couldn't control my anger, because I'm like, here I am trying to mess with this app that didn't work from the Movimiento Familiar, this Catholic organization, and his website. It's mediocre at best, and I can't get this to work, and my wife's telling me to fix it, and I don't even like this group because it's not legitimate in my eyes, a true changing. It just looks good on paper. And I see my little boy touching me with his side onto my side, like cuddling. So I know that because I've seen it when I've done DoorDash. I've seen that when I've gone to people's home, how kids are neglected. Mm-hmm. But that's the reality of it. And the other thing I feel like they are manipulating her on Father's Day.
When you say they manipulate,
and again, this is
are you talking about?
Thank you. Now I'll be brief on this, but it's very, very grave. But I have no power at this point, so I can't speak to anyone about this. Her siblings and her mother. When I met her, she was 29 years old. My birthday, so we were 7 months dating. For October, we went to Dallas. They lived in Waco, of course. We went to Dallas, Arboretum. I was 25 and she was 29 years old. She was kind of worrying about them calling her because she kept putting it to voicemail on her phone. And we were having a good time, but later on that evening, she called her younger sister, 15 years old at the time, somewhat yelling at her. How come you didn't call us? Where are you? My eyesight at that time was cool. You got a cool family, I'm looking out for you. Even though I'm 8 months dating you, but all right. Then it turned into, okay, 29 and a 15-year-old is requiring you to give her explanation of what they're doing. And I'm listening to her on the phone as she's telling her about our day. Not excitingly, but informatively. I'm like, okay, she's literally like confirming her status where she's at. I'm like, okay, that's different now. That as if you're going on a one night stand, you meet a stranger at a bar. A friend, not even a family member, a friend might even say, hey, make sure where you're at. When we're dating for 8 months, you question, but do I make a big deal out of it? No. Tuck that away. And then the next day, when we went to Mass, sat right in front. That was our first altercation, right outside the church in the parking lot. We don't do that. The 15-year-old said that to me. That's not how we do it. I don't know whether the college in me, the my side of the family in me, or my independence, or my just free thinking came out, but I'm like, Sandra, her name is Sandra, I'm like, Sandra, you have no say what we do. She's an adult, she's 29 years old, you're 15. You have no authority over us. Raina, my age, steps in. Because they're all together. They band together. No, that's our sister. We need to know where she's at. The 15-year-old quiets down. The 25-year-old comes. We're all in the van, right outside Mass, right after, receiving the Eucharist. And then the mother comes. They're all together right there, but she steps in the conversation. And she said, we don't like that. We didn't know where she was at. Look to the left. The whole time who was standing there was Nancy. 29-year-old woman. Didn't say nothing. So 3 women confronted me, while the other ones were outside the van, as if they were soldiers protecting the base. Didn't think nothing of it. Like, they're weird. I know I love Nancy. Nancy is very committed with her faith. That's it. Then multiple times came up where I joked about it. I discovered this about 2016, so we were 2 years, a year and a half married, 4 years knowing each other. I joked about it. I'm like, man, whenever we go to your family's house, you speak differently. Certain words come out. Certain accents come out. I'm like, why is that? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, even her stance. I love to observe, so I'm like, even the way she sits, the same way as her mother. I'm okay. And then she would do the same things as her mother. And I'm like, well, I understand psychologically, it's, we follow our parents. I get that. But there's a way where it's genuine, and there's a way where the parents know that. And again, you can take advantage of it very easily. Do loving parents do that? No. But when someone recognizes that power over that child, it's very attractive if you have bad intentions. Again, never assume, never thought of nothing. I just like to observe. And then little by little, Isaac's 2 years old. He's playing with things on the kitchen table. Don't do that. I'm like, he used the sugar packets on the coffee table at a restaurant and made a little design of an ocean and boats. That's creativity. You're telling me to stop that? And I made a mistake. I'm vocalizing it. It's not doing well right now, because by telling the truth, it doesn't work now. But at that time, it felt good because they knew my stance. I'm like, no. Nancy, when we get in the car, when we get done for the weekend of visiting her family. Oh yeah, I don't know why my family's like that. I don't like it at all, Nico. I agree with what you do. I want them. I learned from school. Yes. That's why I didn't say anything, Nico. Become one. So attractive when your wife is on your same team. And it doubted sometimes in my head. I'm like, you still don't say nothing. 2018 happens. They were in the living room. Her father was talking about his brother that died at a very young age, like mid-20s. And he was saying, man, he was a good man. Someone gunned him down in the ranch. I miss him. He was a good man. Everyone was in the room, all the siblings, because there's 7 of them, including Nancy and the mother. They're all listening and they're sobbing too, like, wow, yeah, we remember him. I remember when I was younger. Nancy told me a year prior that when she was 5 years old, that same uncle came into a room and sexually abused her when he was 17. A couple years later, she came out and talked to me again because I knew it was still, she didn't take it all out at that time. And she gave me an additional news that her sister Isela was in the same room turning her away because she was about 4 years old, 3.5, 4. But she was in the same room. But before she opened up the second time, she already opened up the first time. And she told me, no, he's dead. Because of course, the first thing you think, oh, where's he at? You know? She didn't say nothing in that living room. But she walked out. And I walked out with her. And I went into the other room and we hugged because I was the only one that knew it. And I'm like, mi amor, you gotta tell at least your mom. Like, what the hell? I was like, you don't, what? You're 33 years old. And then you think about these little videos when she was quinceañera, 15 years old, how you see these videos of her just, this whole persona that traumatized her. Now she's this very reserved woman. And I'm learning more and more about psychology. There's a statistic out there, there's an experiment out there where they took multiple sexual offenders and they look at who they would attack, and they show them like 6, 7 different pictures of women, and they all choose the same ones that were already abused sexually. A person that prays knows his prey. They know, they can see it in their face. I don't know why. They know that you're vulnerable. They know. And part of it, again, it brings power. If you ever talk or learn about sexual predators, they take pride in it. Power, because that pride comes with power. I see all these things, and it's making sense now. I'm like, now I understand why she is who she is. But all this time, I'm the angry one. In 2019, I wanted us to go to this Catholic Mexican lady that's on EWTN, $185 an hour that I couldn't afford. And in the first session, she says, let me talk to Nico only. And she just eliminated Nancy. I could only afford 3 other appointments. And the last 2 was somewhat helpful, but the last one, she noticed I was behind on one payment, and she was just very quick. And then I couldn't even get a hold of her afterwards because we still owe one appointment. But she just eliminated Nancy. I was the problem. And so I see her. I see a beautiful woman that cannot stand up for herself. And I say all these things because there's one thing I want to mention before to solidify all of this. And then 3 years ago, so I think it was just after the pandemic, so 2020 or 2021, a wonderful day, Pascuas, Easter Sunday. did a little joke in front of her cousins because they're about our age, a little older, like 40-ish, and we were packing up. The night was done. We're outside and they had this cooler and I held it wrongfully. And I'm like, you know what? I was joking with the guys because I'm a jokeful person. I'm like, can you do this? So I kind of lift it up so it floats in the air, and when it comes, before it hits the ground, I'll turn my hand and I grab it again. And I did it in front of them because at Mexican parties, they're all men, stand the same. We all are in the lines with the beer just talking. So I passed by them and they saw me moving the cooler, taking it back to the garage, and I held it wrong and it was kind of hurting me. So I'm like, hey, can you do that? He was like, wow. I'm like, and then of course the drunk guy, yeah, let me try it. And he messed it up. It hit the ground before he did it. And I'm like, no, let me try it again. So I was going to show him again. Before I showed it again, my father-in-law comes right in front, kind of bumps me, pushes me out of the way so he can grab it. So I don't play that. Took it. It was his house, right? All these thoughts came about in my head. I was never embarrassed like that in many years. The last time I was embarrassed was with my own father. He embarrassed me very, very, very hard. And I didn't like it. I'm not a child. So, the professional in me was, let me be discreet, but direct. So I scoped them out. And we were all quiet. It was a very awkward moment because when you get embarrassed, no one speaks. It's just you take it in. They all looked at me and it was embarrassing. Like as if I was a child. And, the macho person would say, hey, no. So I waited, but like 20 minutes because he was hard to be by himself. I scoped him out. I didn't want to make a spectacle out of it. But I'm like, I have to speak to him. So I waited, and he was alone. Outside still, and we were putting things away still. I walked up to him like, hey, I just didn't like what you did. He was like, no, I don't play that game. You know who I am. And then just a fight in me came. And the way I fight, Father, is not with fists. It's with being an intellectual. Because I learned in life you can be very, very powerful with words. And I know he's at a disadvantage, even in Spanish. And I was like, well, you know who I am. And you know what I am. Because before that, he would make fun of me. He would do all these little things when we came over. Just very cold man. Never liked me. Her mother contested to that, which is his wife. She always knew, and she would even say sorry on his behalf. All these beautiful things she did. She's the same woman that says find another wife too. But she knew that. They all knew something about me that he just never liked. And I always come back because it didn't matter. Nancy wants to be with her family, fine, I'll take it. I lost my family. So I'm like, it's okay if he makes fun of me, if I throw away something in the wrong garbage, or if I sit down next to him and he just abruptly gets up, doesn't even want to talk to me. It's okay. And but I had enough, because when you did it in front of people, it's one thing if you do it quietly to me. But when you embarrass me, that just hurted me. So, and even then, I just used words to fight. And I told him, ultimately, I said, and I have it recorded too, because I knew it was something weird. I felt different. I'm like, man, I never confronted him this way. But I'm like, it's been, 7 years. It had to be done. And I told him, I'm not going to be someone where I'm not welcome. And my wife will follow me, because that's how our family comes. We don't come one. My family did that for many, many years, Father. They're married in the Catholic Church, everything, but they lived as if they were divorced. My mom would take all of our 5 kids. My dad would be this quiet guy in the room. And I never understood why my dad would be alone while we went to go have so much fun at our siblings' house. That is the other reason why I respectfully refuse to be with my kids. Because no matter what, you're screwed. They're together, but they lived as if they're divorced. And that's not good either, because I've experienced that, and it will hurt someone, so I don't want that. No matter what is screwed up. And so I told her, I'm like, we come as one, and my wife will follow me. Because she loves me, and she knows I'm doing the best for our family. And he was like, well, what are you trying to say? I'm like, if I'm not welcome here, then my wife will follow me. The youngest boy that never talks, some would even make fun of him because he's the quietest one. Boom. And remember the theme of why I'm saying these stories. Remember the theme?
The youngest.
Yeah, but remember the theme is manipulation. The he was 22, but he's the youngest one.
Okay.
Never speaks, barely speaks to me because he follows dad. No, man, that's my dad. What are you talking to my dad like that? No, I never liked you anyways. Everything came out. So you don't talk to my dad that way. I'm like, Danny, it's between him and I, man. I'm speaking with them peacefully. Let us just have this moment. He said, no. And he's making a big deal about it. And then the dad kind of spoke out. No, you're saying that you would take our family away. Then the women came in. Because there's 4 sisters. Reina, Isela. And then Sanqua is the other youngest one. She's like a year older than Danny. And I had it recorded because it was weird. One would say they ganged up on me. But I would even argue that the true feelings came out of what they thought of me. Because they did not hold anything back. And the mother came out. Because of course little words came out like, I think they're arguing. And the funny thing with me is, the difference between me and any other person, that would result in a fighting altercation. Cops would come, then in my head, again, I learned this through even my dad. There's a way to keep the conversation going peacefully. And that's what I did. So it kept going. Everyone had their opinion. The other cousin came in, he was like, no, you shouldn't do this. And they're saying, well, no, you never respected my dad anyways. We don't like you being here. Oh, man. And the one who defended me was my mother-in-law. Nancy came out, but she was still quiet. Her mother, my mother-in-law, said, not convictionally, like not with and conviction, but she at least said it out loud. No, like I see them sometimes. He treats her good. And that's the thing, Father. That was not my time to speak. Because I could easily say, oh no, I do this. And it didn't matter. When a person's in heated moment, you cannot convince them. So you just have to let it take in. And that's when you see who your real allies are. Nancy still didn't say nothing. And then we talked again. We reconvened and we kind of went into the living room, and then I brought it up. I'm like, did you guys know that she didn't feel comfortable with you guys? And they all looked at her. Reina was a specific one and says, what do you mean? She's like, well, I kind of feel she was so timid. And I wish I could speak for her, but I couldn't, because this was her moment to say what she really felt about her siblings. You guys just treat me different. You guys really never care for me. All these things that Nancy told me over these years. And I'm like, they don't know. Like, what's going on? Guess what was her first response, Reina's? And it's recorded. No, that's not how we treat you. And that same response was the same response with what her mother said when she told her about her being abused by her uncle. No, that ain't happened. A week later, she called, crying to Nancy over the phone. I'm sorry. Her mother said this. Sorry, I just didn't know. So I say all these things because it can be all speculation at this point. I could be just thinking weird things, and maybe I'm just thinking too much. Maybe that's just a strong family. Maybe I'm the wrong one. That's not manipulation. That's just being a strong family. It's hard to break up a good family. I get it. But what convicted me the most was her conviction of being a homeschool teacher. You've seen it through our kids when you saw them here at church. They are a different breed. They are a different animal. Not an animal, but they are just a different human being. Something. And we know what's that something. That true love that she teaches them, that no one else sees, only me and her. But she can't see outside of her own being. So I observe it, and I see it with the boys receiving this love, and we're just a different family. And the reason why we're different is we just happen to follow God. It's nothing secretive. God says put more time in your kids. Okay, well, what does that mean? Oh, it means we have to sacrifice. We can't go on social media. We can't go out to hang out with friends. We can't have girls' night out with a wine tasting event. We can't have guys' night out with... Okay, so we chose that. It's not hard at all. It's a very easy formula to truly love your kids. Homeschool is included. Father's Day was last week or a week and a half ago. I got the video they sent me. Again, this half in, half out. Oh, we'll separate you for 7 months, but we'll send a little video for you, Nico, for Father's Day. That's how I received it. But in their minds is, you know what? I put in my 10 minutes. I made myself look good for God. I separate the whole family, but I'll give them a video of the kids. Again, that's why I said that does not work. That's not love. I see it in the boys when they're talking to me. I miss you, Dad. And he gave me news. He was like, yeah, Dad, and the way he was saying, I feel like I knew what he was saying without saying it because I know my boys. He said, yeah, Dad, I'm going to public school. And this is what, after 3 years of us teaching them what public school was. So that's my ultimate conclusion of why I believe that she's manipulated by them. Because something that she holds strong, she loved teaching them. When we even got divorced, that first month, we talked about it. When we weren't even allowed to speak legally, that was our topic. Where she says, no, I still want to teach. And over the past year and a half, we've been ridiculed by her own mother, by her own siblings. No, I'll take them to public school. So it tells me that they won. It tells me that they have that power over her. Because it's not funding. Because a poor guy like me could afford it. They can easily afford it. It's what they want from her. And I'm sorry, but a 41-year-old woman cannot defend herself. And I don't even know if I told you this, but I had to talk to Isaac about a year prior because he was seeing things that her sisters, so his aunts, were doing to her. Just, again, these quiet psychological power trips where they just exclude her from decision-making, from everything. I'm like, as if she doesn't have a voice. And what a coincidence, he's disrespecting Mom, and Nancy's telling me to talk to him. I talk to him. He's telling me because he knows I'm his father. He trusts me. He says, well, Raina said this one time to Mom. I'm like, what, Isaac? He was like, well, Raina says, well, we'll take your advice later. And that's what I said to Mom. And she got so mad at me. And I'm like, well, Mom got mad at you because you didn't listen to her. It's like, yeah, but all I said was the same thing. We'll take your advice next time. And what do you do with that? And so, yes, Father, I know it's a lot. You can wipe your head. I've been wiping my head for months, but all this information I cannot express because it means nothing when I'm a criminal. So that's what hurts me the most. when I was the only person that can truly care for her. So yeah, they're taking them public school. When I know she truly loves it.
Yeah, that may be a hard decision. It's gonna be hard on her. Public school is probably not too good for the kids either.
But again, Father, it's not in the best interest of the kids.
No.
In the court, it is.
Yeah, the court.
But when we're home alone, it's what's best.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
it's
the
just,
courts can't. It's not. They're not rigged to look into each case and try to have the. No, they're just like.
yes, cookie
Yeah.
cutter.
Yeah.
So yes, Father, and so when I say that, please take it with intention that I love my kids to
Of
the
course
death.
you do.
But I
I
cannot.
understand that.
That is my reason. When I said no,
Mhm.
I say that with all the information. There's probably about 50% more that I need to tell you more about, but I gave you just part of it for time's
Yeah,
sake. But
I understand.
it's
Yeah. Well, the way, I guess we'll find out as the divorce proceeds, what it turns out to be. But we can revisit this at some point that you want.
I appreciate it, but it has been written already, if I may say.
Mhm.
So if you can speak to her in person, I know it's a lot for you
Yeah.
to go to Waco, but in person,
Sure.
and tell her that I will go through this process of annulment because this half life is not for this family. And again, with the intention that it pushes her. In fact, I didn't even want to tell you this, but what the heck? The reason how I got that out of her abusive, sexual abuse, I insulted her. In a nice way. She still laughs at it because she tells me, thank you. So how I insulted her, you could tell like something was up. And I've always said that throughout, like every once in a while, like then, once or twice a year, I would say that like something's going on. Like why are you? She's, that's how I am. And one time I'm like, what? Are you a lesbian? She's like, what? I'm like, well, normally, I'll throw out statistics of like, normally women who are iffy and kind of quiet are, and then she was very, again, Father, she was very prohibited on even the most common Catholic person would do in an intimate sense, oral sex, all these requests she wanted, and I accepted because I love her.
Mhm.
And that's, we were very extreme when it came to the bedroom. But to me, that's not the extreme. I call that loving one another, like being truly intimate with someone, not just your own desire. And I understood all that. But she was just timid. Something else was going on. So I told her, I'm like, well, normally when you're this timid, something happened to you sexually. So did you kiss a girl? Did you have sex with a girl? She's like, no. And I'm like, what? Did a guy take advantage of you? Did he cheat on you? What? Did he abuse you? And I hit the jackpot. She was quiet. Because she kept saying no. Then when I said the abuse, and again, just jokingly, because I didn't think nothing of it. I just wanted to insult her.
Yeah, I understand.
And that opened up everything.
Yeah.
So again, I say it jokingly, but it was an insult. I was making fun of her. But again, Father, it was, I don't know. God made me think about these things because I don't think she would have never told anyone.
Yeah, it's a huge trauma, I'm sure, that probably has not healed. I have to go to the
I
next
know.
one. That's okay.
Yes.
But thank you for driving down.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah. If
And,
you I'll just leave it with that. Please tell her that
mhm.
and give her that background if you can. That it's not my decision, but this is part of the divorce, is the annulment, because we have to feel all of the pain. That's what I have to do. So by next week, I'll
I'll
get
go
the
through it.
phone. Oh yeah, sorry. Left right here, but
Do you have a parish?
I don't even know how that works. Well, yeah, we do. You were the one that called the police. And I don't know if I have to go to St. Helens where we got married, or can I start the process and,
You
And
can
I'm
go,
sure.
you can go to St. Helen or here,
yeah,
so
okay.
I don't know, it's whatever you feel comfortable.
And I want to leave you with this. My grand intention, my grand goal is to her to wake up and to realize what a good man I am. So I hope you understand that when I'm going through annulment, it's a big, big risk. Because she could technically say yes and go through the process. But I just want you to know my intention. When I go through annulment, I want her to feel what the true decision is. Not by the state, but what truly God wanted us. And the only way to do that is to be truthful and say, we're separating completely. And my goal is for her to say no. But again, I want her to fight this whole battle of her family so she can come back to me. But again,
We'll see how.
that's my goal.
Yeah.
So. Thank you.
Okay, you just go straight out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a good day.
Careful drive home.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I tried everything, boys. Tried everything. Now it's up to your mother. This is called faith. End of dictation.